everybody, and welcome to the next BTCC race review with me, Viper, and with my friend Ben. Say hello.
Hello.
And we're going to be doing the race review for rounds 4 to 6, which took place at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit in Kent. Just to kind of throw it out there, for those that don't know or are unaware, the Brands Hatch Indy circuit is essentially the smaller circuit. It is a lot shorter in lap time and is genuinely considered one of the fastest, not fastest in terms of speeds, but fastest in terms of lap time. Just around the same as, I think Knockhill comes about second to Brands Hatch Indy. And it's a very short race, but obviously with the short track length means an increase in laps. And we had a bit of a few surprises in store. So we'll get into it. First and foremost, obviously, as per usual, we do have a playlist for our 2025 content in the description, as always, along with timestamps and all that good stuff. Obviously, thank you very much for all your continued support. It is very much appreciated. So, first thing we just want to mention, jumping into Brands Hatch Indy weekend, was that we saw a return of Nick Halstead. He was back on the grid and took control of the second Power Maxed racing car, which meant that the grid was on 25 drivers, so it meant there was a few extra people, one or two extra drivers in the knockout stages for the qualifying session, so a bit more to play for. Speaking of qualifying, we'll jump straight into it. So qualifying Group 1 saw a few eliminations. These were Tom Chilton, Josh Cook, Max Hall, Nick Hamilton, Nick Halstead, Aidan Moffat, who caused a red flag with a few minutes to go. And surprise, surprise, Ash Sutton was knocked out. To get into the second group, we got eliminations of Rowbottom, Crees, Taylor Smith, Dorlin, Patterson, and Shedden. Once part 2 was finished, so obviously, it goes through the top 12. Slowest 6 were Osborne, Lloyd, DeLeon, Pearson, Smiley, and Jelly, which went from the pack. And the Fast 6 shootout was going to be an interesting one to see who would get pole. In the end, it was Jake Hill who scored his maiden pole position at Brands Hatch. I believe it's his first ever pole there at his local circuit with a time of 46.493 from his teammate Charles Rainford in second, who was 21 thousandths of a second behind him, and Adam Morgan in third, who was only 5 thousandths of a second behind him in third. So moving on to race 1, so we saw a great start by Jake Hill to take a storming lead from Rainford. Ingram managed to get around the outside of Morgan for third place. Further back, we saw Sutton jump from 13th to 10th within the first lap. After a few laps, within the first few laps, you'll say, there was a lot of wheel-to-wheel action with Doble taking on Osborne, DeLeon taking on Lloyd, Moffat's charge from last place, and a few other different stories going on throughout this one. It was too many to keep track of during the race, as you might expect. By the time we got to lap 4, though, it seemed as though that there was a rhythm between all the drivers. However, Dan Lloyd received a 5-second penalty for a false start, which dropped him down the order, despite him running in top 8 up until this point. Hill, meanwhile, was leading well from the front, with Rainford holding off Ingram for second place. On lap 7, we saw Pearson get past Creasy for 12th place, with Jelly following him through shortly after. Lap 11 saw Max Hall push his way past Chilton, with Shedden following him through, drop Chilton down the order a little bit more. Lap 20 saw Lloyd move his way past Osborne for 7th place. It is worth noting that most of this race was very much a tyre conservation race following the soft tyre trouble. So as you may remember, the Donington Park race review that we did, we talked about there was a lot of punches and things like that. So very much a tyre conservation and making sure not to push the tyres too hard, especially since Brands Hatch had been resurfaced in the second sector for the Indy circuit and was considerably hotter than the normal circuit at around 10 degrees warmer, I believe, which is nuts, but there you go with the new track being retarmacked. So lap 22 saw Creasy get past Jelly, with DeLeon getting past Osborne for 13th and 8th place respectively. But up at the front there was a dominant drive by Hill, who won from Rainford and Ingram to take his first win of the season. Lloyd finished 7th on the road but 9th once his 5-second penalty was applied. So your top 10 for race 1 were as follows. Jake Hill was your race winner, with Charles Rainford finishing second, also scoring the fastest lap, which at the time was a new lap record. Third place was Tom Ingram. We have fourth was Adam Morgan, fifth Camish, sixth Doble, seventh DeLeon, eighth Sam Osborne, ninth Dan Lloyd, and 10th Ash Sutton. But there was more drama to follow, as we'll find out in race 2. So Ben, over to you for race 2.
Yeah, race 2 was a very interesting race. I really did enjoy it. A lot happened, as you'll see. So Hill got a really good start. Rainford wasn't far behind him, and it seemed Ingram was sort of ready behind him right off the get-go. Going into lap 2, Camish got past Ingram, which was interesting to see. He just threw it straight out. DeLeon was already up to 5th. He's already going for it. He was gained 2 places at this point, which was nice to see. Lap 3, Doble taps Osborne as he passes on the outside. Apart from this, it was quite clean for now. It was quite nice. Lap 4, Camish managed to get past Rainford, and then DeLeon just took the opportunity and dived past as well to get through to 3rd. Lap 6, Smiley gets tapped and he goes flying straight across the grass. The safety car is out after Hall and Patterson just took each other out. This was not good to see because teammates shouldn't really be doing this, especially for a team that low down the grid where it just causes problems and you don't really want to see this. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them two in the sport. Moving on. Lap 8, Dan Lloyd rejoined from the pits after he had also been taken out and there was quite a lot of grass that he had to get rid of his car so it didn't overheat. Lap 9, Ingram was in 12th after his hards seemed to just basically have given out compared to the soft. Hill is still leading on his hards as it seems he's controlling them for now. Lap 11, a replay is now shown of Hall and Patterson hitting into each other the lap before they came off. Yeah, I wasn't impressed with this. Lap 13, Camish has stopped before the safety car came in. This was because he was altering his engine mapping under the safety car and had hit the engine kill switch, which didn't help him really in this scenario. And then instantly, as everybody is still under safety car, and are also being careful, you can't overtake each other in the safety car. Moffat hit Doble and then Camish because Camish's car had literally ground to an immediate halt in circuit. This then brought out the safety car again. Lap 20, DeLeon's in the lead coming into the first corner straight out the safety car. He just went for it. This is quite interesting. Hill stayed next to him and blocks. It was like just going too wide around the circuit at this point. He blocks Morgan's attack because Morgan was trying to go for it at this point. Rainford managed to get past Hill. I think Hill sort of let him pass to carry on the teammate helping what he was doing at this point, which was really brilliant to see. It reminded me of Turkington last year, sort of helping Hill the same way he did to get the championship. Yeah, DeLeon just pushed straight ahead at this point and was now just going for it like a madman. Lap 21. Doble gets spun, but he managed to get back going, so this doesn't cause any problems. Lap 22, DeLeon now has a 2-second lead. Hill is now in 4th, is holding on to his hards, but it seems they're not doing well now. Lap 23, Hill is now in 6th. Sutton and Smiley get past him easily on their softs. Lap 24, DeLeon has the fastest lap at this point, and I think it was like the circuit record for the touring cars at this point, which was insane to see, and he was 3 seconds ahead now. Lap 25, Sutton is now up to 3rd after he got past Rainford on the inside. DeLeon has the lap record at this point. He just got another fastest lap and just kept going for it. It was like insane. He's just flying ahead of everyone. Last lap, Morgan now has the fastest lap, so he must have just done something very well on lap 24. DeLeon now has a near enough 4-second lead, and he wins the race. Amazing race. So first is DeLeon, second is Morgan with fastest lap, third is Sutton, fourth is Smiley, fifth is Moffat, sixth is Cook, seventh is Rainford, eighth is Hill, ninth is Robon, and 10th is Pearson. Over to you, Brad, for race 3.
Thanks, Ben. So, race 3, we had a bit of an interesting one because that meant De Leon was having to pick the number, and I haven't actually seen how it was done before, but apart from on TV. But now it's a case of picking the ball out of the bowl and twisting it, and it's a bit like Golden Ball style, if anyone that remembers that game show. So it was number 9 that De Leon picked out, which meant it was Dan Rowbottom that got put on pole, with Hill and Rainford not far behind him, which meant that it was going to be interesting as to who was going to get the win on this. Unsurprisingly, both BMWs had a great start, Rainford immediately challenging, taking Hill for second place. This became the lead on the following lap though, as Rainford charged up the inside of Robo into turn 1. Further back, Sutton managed to get past Cook and Moffat to move up into 5th place. Moffat was really getting stuck in on this race as he kept battering Sutton's car all over the place. But whilst he was doing that, this opened the door for Ingram, who went through to demote him down to 7th place. Smiley was under investigation for his start, so who knew what penalty could have been coming his way. Lap 6 saw Ingram get past Sutton for 5th place. Up at the front though, it was Rainford leading from Rowbottom, however the gap was only 4/10, so it could go either way for the lead. It was then a twist in the tail, as on lap 9 it was Hill who jumped Robo for 2nd place, meaning it was a straight fight between the two BMWs. Ingram was a man on a mission as he stormed past Smile for 4th place on lap 11 and was clearly going for the win. Cook managed to pass Moffat and was starting to go after Sutton ahead. BMW felt like they had a dilemma at the front as Rainford held his ground from Hill and was determined to get his first win. Ingram managed to get past Rowbottom for 3rd place on lap 14. And lap 19 and 20 saw Rowbottom come under fire from Smiley, Sutton and Cook, and within a matter of corners the order ended up with Sutton in 4th ahead of Smiley, Cook and Chilton, who also managed to get in on the action and pass Rowbottom, with Rowbottom coming behind this lot. Lap 22 saw Maxwell retire by going into the gravel. On the following lap we saw Ingram and Hill fighting hard for 2nd place with Rainford up the road. On the final lap, it saw Hill once again take on Ingram and holding off very viciously, but still managed to keep the Hyundai behind. But in the end, it was Charles Rainford who ended up becoming another brand new winner in the BTCC, winning his first ever race with Jake Hill and Tom Ingram rounding out the podium. So, your race 3 results are as follows. Charles Rainford takes his first BTCC win, along with Jake Hill and Tom Ingram, who also snagged the fastest lap, standing on the podium with him. Ash Sutton was 4th ahead of Smiley, Cook, Chilton, Moffat, Rowbottom and Shedden. What does it do to the driver's standings? Well, Ash Sutton's still at the top of the standings, albeit by 5 points from Tom Ingram. Jake Hill is right in there now, with Tom Chilton still managing to hold on to 4th place, with Adam Morgan not far behind. Then we have a very small gap between Rowbottom, Camish, Smiley, Rainford is now there, and Aidan Moffat in the top 10. So with all 3 races done and dusted, Ben, who would you say were the main winners or winner from this weekend? Because I can only think of one.
Yeah, with me, BMW obviously it was their weekend. De Leon, wow, and Rainford, it was just insane, and Hill got a really good weekend out of it as well. So yeah, BMW as a whole, really, apart from Moffat.
I'm going to say, as well as BMW, and obviously, like we're saying, De Leon and Rainford getting their first wins in the touring cars, it's interesting to see that Smiley was right up there, was really on the pace with the Hyundai, which was great to see for restart. And Morgan also coming to the front when Ingram couldn't do it. Now, granted, Ingram did manage to get on the podium in the last race, but the fact that Morgan took a massive haul of points this weekend, and he's close right up to Chilton. Granted, he's still 30 odd points behind Ingram, but that's beside the point. I think that what's very interesting as well, and something we were saying before we started recording this video, is we've had 5 winners in 6 races, with Sutton the only double winner so far, which bodes well for the season ahead. One thing that's not very common in touring cars these days is to have multiple winners, and granted we had a double win with Sutton at Donington, but that's beside the point. The biggest shock, I think, is the fact that Ingram hasn't won yet. He's come close on a few occasions, and I think he did have the pace to win at least one of the 3 races, but the BMWs held their ground. They were stiff and firm. One thing that I would probably mention as well, or would like to mention, is given the fact of the short nature of the circuit, would you say that played very well into the hands of the BMW's gear ratio, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Like we both talked about this as well before, and it does seem it's one of them sort of BMW style circuits where you don't have to worry about as such the top end. It's more like acceleration, good grip out the corners. It's all about that really, the Indy circuit, because it's that short a lap. It's on off and then back on as soon as you can really. So it definitely suits them, which is going to be interesting next time round to see what goes on there. But I think because of it, it was great to see, like we said, De Leon and Rainford get the good out of BMW as well this weekend. So yeah, it was
exactly.
great.
I will actually just ask the question here. Now, it's probably quite early to ask this, but after Donington, I wasn't so sure that BMW would have the pace to be a title challenger. Does it now seem to you like it could be a potential title challenger? Or is it just a case of they've had one good weekend, let's just class it as a really good weekend, and that's that?
Yeah, it could be interesting, because like we said, it's definitely a circuit for them, but that doesn't mean the rest of the areas. It does mean that Knock Hill should bode well for them, which is always a BMW circuit anyway in my eyes. So it's going to be interesting to see like what happens at Snet and Croft. I'd say that's going to show probably who's got the good car this year, but it definitely seems that the BMW's in NASCAR terms short circuit package definitely seems good. Probably better than the rest really. It's definitely up there, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the rest of the year really. Like I said, on Snet especially and Croft, they're the ones to keep an eye out in my eyes.
Speaking of things that have gone well, I will actually credit the rule book on this one. It did seem, and I think we mentioned this before we start recording, but it very much is a case of the new rules for the tyres for the hard compound for race 2 seems to have done its job this time round. Do you think it'll be a case of the same thing at Snet where it'll make a difference, or do you think it won't matter?
I think it could be even worse at Snet because of how longer the lap is. When them hards go off, I think some people, if you're not controlling them and you're not a good driver, it's going to be bad. Which is good to see, because hopefully it means we might keep getting different winners all year round, because the tyres are not going to help them on race 2. And then it's going to show who can be consistent enough to become the champion by controlling what happens on race 2. I'm really hoping it kind of does actually not get better the rest of the year, and it stays as they don't try and fix the problem like F1 would go, oh, we need to fix this hard tyre problem. No, leave it. It's making the racing more interesting.
Yeah, but on that note though, I think that I definitely think that that rule with the hard tyre has definitely helped with the racing this year. So far. It definitely helped this weekend, and this is also the point now, as you might imagine, where we hand it over to you guys. What did you think of the BTCC at Brands Hatch? Did you enjoy it? If you were there, did you not? Let us know down in the comments. Be interested to see your thoughts on like the rules and things like that. And also as well, having 2 brand new winners and the return of Nick Halstead, all that good stuff. Let us know down in the comments. And on that note, we will see you guys in 2 weeks' time for the next round of the championship, which will be held at Snetterton down in Norfolk. So, till then, thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, night, evening, wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you all again very soon. Ta-ra.
Bye.